WNBA free agency is officially underway, Annie. So when you see these names and the options that the Sky have, what do you think that they're cooking up?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because Angel and Camilla are very interesting pieces. And when you're talking about, getting the right players in here, there is intrigue when you have young core pieces like that, because you could be part of developing them and developing towards a title contending season. But the reality is the Sky are still very far from that.
Angel Reese launched her podcast with confidence, promising to help build something special in Chicago. But as free agency unfolds, reality is setting in. While teams across the league are making big moves, the Sky's roster is still alarmingly empty. Top free agents had options, and Chicago wasn't one of them.
You don't get told no. You're going to get the yeses. You're going to get more yeses than nos, and just being able to know that. So I'm excited for that. I know that's going to come soon.
Not a single all-star has been swayed to join the Sky. While other teams are stacking their rosters with elite talent, Chicago is still scrambling for answers. This was supposed to be Angel Reese's chance to help build a championship-caliber squad, especially after her heavy recruiting efforts at Unrivaled. Instead, it's turning into a brutal wake-up call. Could it be that players just aren't sold on Reese's vision for Chicago? Let's break down how this free agency disaster unfolded.
The whole city is obsessed with you.
I know. I love it
all
here.
the time.
It feels like Baltimore here. I love it here. It does.
Kind of. A little bit. A little DMV action.
Yeah.
But Chicago is the number 3 market in the country.
Really?
It's New York, LA, and then Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago, y'all have everything. I'm not gonna lie, y'all have everything here. It's nothing here that I'm like, oh, I gotta go to a different city for it. Everything has been here.
Angel Reese confidently vowed to build a powerhouse in Chicago. But as free agency unfolds, the Sky's roster looks more like a puzzle with too many missing pieces. Imagine Reese scrolling through her contacts, sending messages, making calls, only to be met with radio silence, unopened texts, and polite rejections.
Angel Reese and Camilla Cardoso, too, have brought relevance to this team that they've desperately needed in a time when, again, if not for them, they'd be completely irrelevant because of the product that they're putting on the floor.
And also make Chicago an attractive spot when you have Angel Reese and Camilla Cardoso right there, two bigs that really shined in their rookie season.
With so many top free agents available, you'd think Chicago would land at least one. But that hasn't happened. The silence has been deafening. No blockbuster signings, no exciting announcements, and definitely no championship-caliber talent heading to the Windy City. Instead, Reese is left questioning what went wrong.
So, lads, this is not great news, for the Chicago Sky, who are a team that obviously, they're rebuilding. This is a team that is 100% rebuilding. The problem is they don't own their pick. So, if the Chicago Sky run it back, they're probably not making the playoffs next year. Look, I think there's going to be an improvement from Angel Reese. I think it's going to be an improvement from Cardoso. But that team with no Kennedy Carter, it's going to be real tough to get any offensive power.
Let's talk about the stars who were up for grabs. Kelsey Plum, Jewel Lloyd, Brittany Griner, Alyssa Thomas, Dewana Bonner, Natasha Howard, Satu Sabali, and Kelsey Mitchell. These aren't just good players. They're franchise changers. The kind of talent that can take a team from mediocre to championship contention overnight. So, how many of them seriously considered Chicago? Not a single one. Maybe there was hope. Maybe Reese had a last-minute plan. But now, with the biggest names already signed elsewhere, the truth is undeniable. Chicago was never a top choice. Reese's recruiting push wasn't just a minor setback. It was a complete failure.
So, not a good day for the Chicago Sky. Not a good day at all, because we have heard news from the journalist who reports on the WNBA, and because she is not a homer like a lot of the other people, normally journalists are complete homers for one team. One of the actual credible journalists reported on something. Sky fans aren't happy. They all want her fired.
To make matters worse, the Sky's front office didn't do Reese any favors. Their top scorer, Kennedy Carter, didn't even get a qualifying offer. A clear sign that Chicago wasn't committed to keeping its own talent, let alone bringing in new stars. And the trade rumors? They fizzled out just as quickly as they started. It almost felt like the moment Reese began pitching the dream of a super team, free agents were already heading for the exit.
Kennedy had an incredible season for us last year, says the GM. She's extremely talented and is a player that can impact the game at the highest level in our league. We absolutely appreciate all she did for our team last year. However, we've made changes to our staff and we'll make changes to our roster. Those changes impact Kennedy's fit on the team, so we wanted to give her the best opportunity as a free agent.
So where does this leave Angel Reese, the rising star who was supposed to help bring elite talent to Chicago? Instead of leading a powerhouse, she might be at the center of a roster made up of role players and rookies. This isn't the super team she envisioned. It's a tough reality check. So, what went wrong? Why did every top free agent take one look at Chicago and walk away? Let's break it down.
Is Angel Reese, did she just run a coach out of town, and is she running a player out of town? Their best shooter out of town? Because Kennedy Carter looks like she's ready to book it out of Chicago.
While Angel Reese was hyping up Chicago as the WNBA's next big destination, top free agents were making moves, just not to the sky. Picture this, a league-wide signing spree with star players choosing teams that offered everything Chicago lacked: stability, strong leadership, and a legitimate shot at a championship. So, where did these big names decide to take their talents? Let's break it down.
The Seattle Storm are sending Jewel Lloyd to the Las Vegas Aces in a blockbuster three-team trade that moves Kelsey Plum to the LA Sparks. That's according to ESPN. As part of the deal, Seattle receives the second pick in this year's WNBA draft from LA in exchange for the Storm's number 9 pick, while the Aces also receive the 13th pick, a second-round selection from the Sparks.
First up, Kelsey Plum, the sharpshooter who helped power Las Vegas to back-to-back championships. Instead of bringing her talents to Chicago, she's heading to Los Angeles. That's right, the Sparks just became a serious threat. Why LA over Chicago? Simple, top-tier coaching, a front office with a clear plan, and a franchise that isn't drowning in uncertainty. Tough break for Angel Reese, but it only gets worse. Enter Jewel Lloyd, a Chicago native with the perfect chance to come home and play for her city. If teaming up with Reese was truly appealing, this should have been an easy decision. Right? Wrong. Lloyd took one look at the Sky's situation and sprinted to Las Vegas, where she'll join forces with Aja Wilson. She didn't just pass on Chicago, she chose championships and stability over drama and doubt.
According to WNBA Insider, that Illinois native Jewel Lloyd will not be going to Chicago Sky. And obviously, they didn't keep Kennedy Carter. And it's looking like one player, obviously, that's been linked to Chicago across her careers because of her Illinois roots is Seattle Storm guard Jewel Lloyd.
According to WNBA Insider reports, Illinois native Jewel Lloyd won't be returning home to play for the Chicago Sky. Despite her hometown ties, the Sky couldn't make it happen. First, they failed to retain Kennedy Carter, and now Lloyd is reportedly choosing the Seattle Storm instead. Another major opportunity slips through Chicago's fingers.
Let's talk about the 3 big names you gotta know: Alyssa Thomas, Natasha Cloud, Brittany Griner. Let's start with Brittany Griner, joining Alicia Gray and Ryan Howard in Atlanta. Dream team? Brittany Griner was drafted to Phoenix in 2013, so it's kind of about time, and I'm so excited to see what Atlanta turns around this next season, because they really need her. Phoenix is also losing Natasha Cloud and Beck Allen, along with the number 12 pick overall in this year's draft, to Connecticut. Connecticut is giving up the triple-double queen, Alyssa Thomas, and Ty Harris.
Then there's Brittany Griner, the dominant center who can throw down dunks with ease. She's heading to Atlanta, strengthening a dream squad that was already loaded with talent. Meanwhile, Alyssa Thomas, the triple-double powerhouse, is taking her game to Phoenix, bringing her all-around brilliance to the Mercury. See the trend? These stars didn't just pass on Chicago, they deliberately chose teams with clear direction, strong leadership, and a real shot at winning. No one was willing to take a chance on a franchise weighed down by instability and locker room drama.
The Indiana Fever are that golden destination, and I can't help but laugh to the fans and the people online and the media commentators, unfortunately, who said that nobody wanted to play in Indiana. That doesn't make any sense.
Speaking of Phoenix, things only get worse for Angel Reese. Not only did Alyssa Thomas land there, but she'll be joining forces with Sadhu Sabali, a lethal combination that instantly makes the Mercury a serious threat. But here's where it really stings. While Reese was busy making recruiting pitches that went nowhere, the Indiana Fever were quietly assembling a championship-ready squad. They dominated free agency, bringing in battle-tested veterans like Natasha Howard, DeWanna Bonner, Sydney Colson, and Sophie Cunningham. And to make matters worse, they even poached Reese's own teammate Brianna Turner right from under her nose. As if that wasn't enough, Indiana also secured Kelsey Mitchell with a re-signing, transforming an already promising young squad into a legitimate title contender, while Chicago remained stuck in neutral.
Just trying to give myself some grace because I know I'm not the player that I want to be just yet, but also kind of patting myself on the back, telling myself that I'm still doing great.
So, what does all of this mean? It means Angel Reese talked a big game, but the league's top stars weren't buying into the hype. Not only did these elite free agents pass on Chicago, but they also bolstered the very teams that will make the Sky's road even tougher. It's almost like they spotted the red flags and avoided the drama before it could even unfold. But wait, there's one more move that could seal the fate of Reese's super team dream. Want to know what it is? The harsh truth is setting in. Angel Reese, who once confidently declared she was building a powerhouse in Chicago, is now left staring at empty lockers and unanswered messages. Her vision of assembling an all-star squad has collapsed, and instead of a championship contender, the Sky are shaping up to look more like a mismatched pickup team.
Every woman should be able to step in and be able to go into a locker room and be able to have a safe space, or go into a gym at 3 o'clock in the morning when they want to do that. So I want to be able to just invest.
And the bad news doesn't stop there. Just look at the numbers. Remember when the Sky were legitimate playoff contenders? Those days feel like a distant memory. Last season, they completely fell apart, finishing with a dismal 13-27 record, their worst since 2020. And that was after adding Angel, while Reese, a so-called generational rookie. Turns out, hype alone doesn't win games.
So it's just been great being able to see my impact on and off the court, and not just in sports, but just being able to be a cultural impact as well has just been great.
But wait, it gets even messier. Reports suggest the Sky's locker room chemistry is more dysfunctional than a reality TV meltdown. And at the center of the storm, Angel Reese. Instead of turning Chicago into a hotspot for free agents, she's seemingly repelling talent faster than a dropped call. Gabby Williams, one of Reese's personal recruiting targets, took one look at the situation and decided, yeah, I'm good. Even Chennedy Carter, who has never shied away from controversy, had some choice words about Reese before making her own exit. When even the most competitive players don't want to stick around, that says a lot.
According to league sources, Weatherspoon had lost the locker room because of a culture that catered to the needs of a few players. Dear Lord.
And speaking of dysfunction, let's talk about the Sky's front office. It's been a revolving door, like a fast food. Joint during rush hour. Coaches, executives, and players come and go. But stability? Nowhere in sight. It's no surprise that WNBA analyst Annie Kostel pointed out how free agents are steering clear of Chicago. Who would willingly walk into this kind of chaos? So where? Does that leave Angel Reese and the Sky? In a tough spot, to say the least. While teams like the Fever are stacking talent and building a championship foundation, Chicago can't even get players to return their calls. It's like watching a slow-motion train wreck, painful, yet impossible to ignore.